where coaches and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. I am so excited to be here. I missed last week. Those of you who follow me know that my father passed away. It's been a difficult time to start off 2024, and we chose not to work last week. So we're excited to be here today and to have a great guest as well. Those of you who follow me know what? I'm your weather girl. So let me know where the weather's like, where you're chiming in from and what the weather's like where you are. I'm going to be watching over here in the comments, and you're going to want to comment. Make sure if you're watching on Facebook Live that you give StreamYard permission, because you're going to have an opportunity to ask our guests a couple of questions if you have them about PTSD. I'm excited to have our guest here today. Now, I happen to know she's in Austin, Texas, and I have a friend in Austin, Texas. And that friend moved to Austin, Texas because she thought it was going to be warm. Right? So let me introduce Alexandra and let her tell you what the weather's been like in Austin, Texas. Welcome. Welcome, Alexandra.
Thank you so much. So I'm actually in Bastrop. I'm a little bit outside of Austin, but it's been raining for days and like a lot of rain. So it's been fun, especially when you have animals.
But you had some cold weather too, didn't you? It got pretty.
Yeah, we did. We had, oh my gosh, a couple of days of freezing weather. I'm a little off. I have an Anatolian Shepherd. He's a rescue. And so the last 2 weeks have been really all about him. He started having seizures and neurological issues. And honestly, yesterday we did the whole emergency room trip and thought he was going to be forced across the bridge, but he's making this miraculous recovery. So.
Oh, that's good to hear. Well, we're going to kind of jump in there real quick and then I'll have you go back and give just a little quick thing of your background. One of the things that I read about you shared, is that you're in doTERRA, essential oils. Mm-hmm. Do you use them on your pets?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So when your pet goes through the seizures, is that considered something of a PTSD type reaction in a pet?
So there's a lot of questions about that right now. He had a neuro exam yesterday, and it looks like he either has a tumor or he has meningitis. She prescribed him all kinds of medications, and right now I'm getting ready to talk to somebody that's a little bit more specialized than I am, just because he is on pharmaceuticals. I don't want to have a reaction with oils. But I will say this. Western medicine versus holistic medicine is very different. One of the things that I was looking up is the gut-brain relationship. So if you have a bad gut biome, that can actually trigger unhealthy brain issues.
Really?
So, and it was interesting because I brought that up and she kind of said, oh no, he's on so many antibiotics right now. You don't want to, it's like a waste of time. So there's definitely some different views, because holistically speaking, no, you need to keep that gut biome going, because the gut biome can affect so many things, including trauma. If you have anxiety, it can be from a host of different things. It can be because you have trauma and your brain is reliving an experience, and it's giving you, it's like a check engine light going, hey, there's something wrong. You need to, we need to protect you. Or the other way to look at it is, hey, there's a trigger coming up. It's time to deal with that. Let's get rid of it so we don't have the anxiety. But it can also be a physical thing. So you can actually have anxiety from foods that you eat. For me, I noticed towards the end, I used to be a smoker. And smoking was my stress relief. But towards the end, I actually noticed that smoking was actually giving me anxiety. So,
oh, wow. So I'm going to jump in here real quick, because I definitely do want to talk about anxiety and the PTSD, but take just a quick, maybe 30, 45 seconds and give us the background of what you went through and what has you so inspired to help other people with PTSD.
Ooh, 30 seconds. I only get 30 seconds.
Okay,
So
you can have 90 seconds.
okay, good. So I have a lot of trauma in my past, and it started in childhood. I had a very abusive marriage that left me begging for my life. Um, I had child issues. I was in a custody case for 7 years. Like, I've been through a little bit of everything. And I didn't really start addressing my trauma until probably 7 years ago.
Mm,
And it got to the point where I had nightmares. I had severe anxiety. I couldn't leave the house. Um, oh, rage. Rage was fun.
mm,
Um, I was almost non-functioning. I couldn't sleep. Sometimes I wouldn't sleep for days at a time. And I was kind of at that point where I wasn't suicidal, but I was kind of begging God, hey, just take me. I can't do this anymore.
mm.
So at that point, I started really looking at ways to heal. And backstory on that, my dad had PTSD. He was a combat veteran. Um, he passed in 2012, and his death was not listed as a suicide. But if you really know about PTSD, the number one coping skill is alcoholism or drug addiction, because
Okay.
it's a way to manage, not a positive way, but it is a way to manage things. And basically, my dad drank himself to death.
Mm,
And so that really devastated me. And I didn't want to do that to my kids. So
sure.
I started looking at ways to heal. I tried everything. I did talk therapy, and a lot of times, talk therapy actually left me worse. Um, I would walk in thinking, "Oh, I don't have anything to talk about," and then we would get started, and then I would be like, "Crap, my life sucks," and I would be in a worse mood than when I walked through the door.
Can I
Um,
jump in? I just got to jump in real quick because I remember decades ago when I was leaving the office one evening to go to therapy, and a good friend of mine, his name was Larry, says, "You look so serious. What are you thinking about?" I got to figure out what I'm going to talk about in therapy. I got to figure out what I'm talking about therapy, right? And he's like, "No, you go to therapy and you just let it come." I'm like, it was all about control, right? Didn't want to feel the emotions. Got to have something to talk about. So I can totally relate to what you're going through. And some of your past traumas as well. And then the thing that triggered mine, PTSD, really in recent years is a bad car wreck. I used to be so patient in traffic. I let I let people in, like, and now it's you asshole. I just like it. I was in California and San Diego, and I hope God's watching out over all the people in San Diego that just went through that horrible flood.
yeah.
But I was with a friend of mine and her 3 kids, and we were taking her 10-year-old son to, karate lessons, and she has a little Mini Cooper, and all of a sudden, my foot is trying to hit the brake on the other side, and I'm like, "Kim," and she finally comes to a halt, and she looks at me and she goes, "You have PTSD. Look, it didn't even bother my son." I said, "Your son hadn't had 14 epidurals in his neck and his back either," right? So, yes, so I can definitely relate. Go ahead, tell us.
So yeah, and I tried EMDR. EMDR was so bad for me, the therapist actually stopped, and she's like, "Nope,
Tell
we're not."
tell us what that is, because I saw that in your bio, and I don't know what EMDR is.
So there's different ways to do EMDR. Like, they have the light, or she did the fingers, where basically you have to keep talking about whatever you're dealing with and focus on the fingers. And it's kind of like a way of desensitization
Mm,
of your trauma. But for me, that didn't work. Like, it sent me into a panic attack that she
mm,
almost didn't bring me out of. So EMDR was a no-go for me. I did acupuncture. The PTSD protocol for acupuncture is 5 pins in your ears. Really interesting with that. So every time I would get acupuncture done, the lady that did my acupuncture, she could always tell how I was feeling as she was doing it, because she would hit a point and I would be like, "Oh, you're angry, huh? Damn it. Yes, I am." So, super interesting. You have points in your ears, you have points in your hands, you have points in your fingers, and of course along the spine. And you can do essential oils on those points too. So it's really really fascinating. But I did that for 2 years. She said that some people are like an instantaneous. They go one time, they're done, they're great, they don't need to come back. That wasn't me. I was there for 2 years just trying to get some relief from
Mhm.
everything that I was going through.
Mhm.
And then I did breath work. I did different types of breath work. I did energy work. Um,
Wait. Let's go back to breath work for a quick second. So, have you ever read the book, The Other F Word: How to Forgive Anyone in 7 Days?
no, I haven't, but that's
It's
great.
it's a great book. So it's written by a lady out of Nashville,
Mhm.
Juliana Erickson. So I'd been going through a lot, and I bought the book and I read it, and I went to Nashville, and I booked a couple of sessions with her. She's a forgiveness coach and a breathworks coach, and she studied her breathworks under Ayan Levanzant, who
Mhm.
I have her book right here. In my other show, we always read from Ayan Levanzant. So I go and I'm sitting there on her couch and we talk and we do whatever. And then she tells me to lie down and she tells me how I'm going to start breathing. And I look at her in a panic. She goes,
Yes.
I promise you're not going to hyperventilate. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And so finally I, let go of the control and I gave in. And when all was said and done, I'm lying on my side on the couch, right? And I want to get up. She's like, no, 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 don't get up. Don't get up. Just stay there. So we stayed. I'm like, what the hell? Right. So I laid there for like 10 minutes and then she goes, okay, sit up gently. So I sit up and my goodness, I was drunk as a skunk. I couldn't even stand up to drive home. And she said, oh, it's because you're 100% oxygenated and you probably walk around every day at about 30%.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience like that?
No, mine was a lot more awkward. So I did like a group experience, and there
Mm.
was actually a guy next to me, and literally he sounded like he was having an orgasm, and it was just very hard for me to function on anything else past that.
Exactly. I'm highly auditory. That would have taken me out right there.
So yeah, that wasn't the best experience. But I do like, what is it called? Um Pranayamic breathing. Like I really, that seems to be like a connection, or alkaline breathing, I think is actually what it's called. And it's basically you're taking deep breaths in, and then pushing them out, and you do it, I don't know, like maybe 10 times, and then you do a 15-second hold, and then you push all the air out and you do another 15-second hold, and then you go back. And that does kind of reset things because you're so focused on making sure that you're doing the right breathing thing that your brain doesn't
Sure.
have time to think about, oh, my car's not going to work, or this isn't going to work, or that's not, whatever. So it is a great way to reset. That is one of the things that they say, if you're having an anxiety attack, focus on 5 things around you, like the picture on the wall, the plants over there, the dog over there. But it kind of cuts that cord that's cycling into whatever trauma you're dealing with.
Have you ever listened to Real Talk Kim?
No, I haven't.
She's a minister. She's a pastor. I get her on TikTok, and so she's doing something every morning now for 1 year at 8 o'clock. And it just happened to be, I don't watch it every day, but I happened to be on it. And somebody in the chat was talking about anxiety, like you were just giving some ways to get rid of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, have you ever sucked on one of those? What are they called? Not Sour Patch Kids. Darn it! Now I can't remember what it was. Right? No, I'm serious. Something sour. I wasn't a Sour Patch Kid. It was something. And she goes, I swear, I was just watching so and so, and they said it works. She goes, go
It
try
does.
and come back and tell me.
It does. And it's because you're disconnecting, because okay, so let's say you're in the middle of an anxiety attack and all you can feel is that, you know, but the second you put that in your mouth, well, you're no longer focusing on this, you're focusing on that.
Mm,
So yeah,
interesting.
it's just redirecting. And for some people that works, and for some people it doesn't. For every, like, if you actually research all the different modalities out there, like some people are 100% with EFT, or emotional freedom technique, which is the tapping.
Hmm.
Some people are like 5%. Everybody responds differently. And I think we all have experiences, and so everybody's physiology is different.
Right. Yeah, because acupuncture never did anything for me.
Yeah.
And I have a good friend and she gets relief all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
Didn't work for me. So let's tell us a little bit, and I'm gonna, if you're watching live, or even if you're on hashtag replay, we can always come back and answer questions. Let us know that you're here in the comments. I have a lot of voyeurs, right? They don't always say stuff, but let us know if you have any questions. Just put it in the chat, put it in the comments. We don't have to say your name if you don't want us to, and we'll answer your questions. So when you work with your clients, tell us a little bit about that. Like when you say there's tons of modalities, how do you determine what's going to work best? Is it a trial and error kind of thing?
So I'm an AFT practitioner, and that's what works best for me. It's actually based off of EMDR. So it is a process. Basically, you're gonna, like, for example, let's say we're working on an actual specific event. You're gonna focus on that event. You're gonna focus on the first emotion that pops up. You're gonna focus on any sensation that you have in your body. A lot of times, for me personally, I start feeling, if I'm stressed, it's in the back of my neck. I've had people say all kinds of things in your throat, in your stomach, in your knees, in your eyeballs, like whatever, wherever you're feeling it in your body. And then focus on the negative emotions or the negative thoughts that are coming up wrapped around that. And then we use different oils. I use the emotions kit with doTERRA. I think I actually have it. Yay! So I use a lot of the emotions oils from that kit, and then I also use adaptive imbalance. And basically you're gonna take a couple of drops, inhale, and you're really gonna focus on those feelings, the negative thoughts, the first emotion. And then the oil actually affects the limbic system in the brain. So it's kind of like, the best way to explain it is, here's a suitcase or file cabinet, and your brain is trying to put this memory in here, and it can't. So it just keeps recycling. So the oils actually affect the limbic system, which cuts that and makes it release. So once you get to that point, one of two things can happen. So either you feel great, you're done, you're ready to face your day, or oh crap, there's another emotion that came up. And then we do the whole thing all over again until it's gone. And it really, it's gone. Like it's the most profound experience.
Kind of like a little bit like NLP, right? Changes the neural pathways. And once you know how NLP was explained to me the first time I attended a conference about it, an expert was talking about, it's like having an old LP. I'll date myself, right? The old vinyl records, right? And she said, it's like, what does that record have? That record has grooves. That's how it gets around, it has grooves. And she says, what this process, it was only a 4-question process of NLP. She said, it's going to be like taking a knife and scratching across those grooves. You will never be able to feel it the same. Now, she didn't say you would never feel it. She just said it would never be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe eventually it goes away, but
no, the way this works, like, I'll just give you some examples. I worked with somebody on grief, and it was around the passing of his mom. And his initial like feelings towards what happened were horrible. Like, this is such a horrible experience. My mom was in pain. The hospital people were bad. Like, I mean, all this stuff came up. But once we went through the process, it was, oh, this really wasn't a horrible process. My mom was very well taken care of. And it was actually a really peaceful process. Our whole family was there. It totally, it's like having dirty glasses. And
yeah, it's like it's a mindset change. It sounds like.
Oh, absolutely.
Just from a different modality to change someone's mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long have you been coaching people and helping them with PTSD?
3 years.
And most of that's over Zoom, or do you have when you're there local in Austin or close to Austin? I know where Bastrop is. I was born in Lubbock.
Okay. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we will be burying my dad's ashes next to my mother in Plainview, Texas. You know where that is, up by Amarillo?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, if you want to try a session, let me know.
Okay, I will. I'll let you know. it's been a challenge, the whole family dynamics.
I'll
Oh my
bet.
goodness. You can go back on my personal Facebook page. I guess anybody can, and look at the live that I did too. I wasn't even going to go live. And
Hmm.
my good buddy Jeff, after 30 minutes, he said, "Yes, you are." And it was really quite interesting, the massive amounts of engagement that it got and everything, and things that came up in the family. Just
Yeah, I'll bet.
those dynamics are incredible.
Yeah.
I wrote down something that I wanted to ask you about. Tell me about um, your work with ladies, domestic violence and sexual abuse.
Okay. That is a really hot topic for me. I have domestic
Hot
violence.
as in good, or hot as in not? Don't touch that.
Oh no, no, no. Great, 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 great.
Okay. Okay.
That's kind of my specialty.
Okay.
Is a better way to say it. And that's because I am a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault. Um, it it really traumatized me. I guess is the best way to say it. And that is my passion, to help women that have gone through that. It's not an easy road to navigate.
Mm-mm.
Um, there's so many feelings. Like, they always talk about domestic violence survivors. Well, why did you stay for so long? and it should be a no-brainer. If somebody hits you, it should be easy to go, hey, this doesn't work, let me leave. But it's not that simple.
Mm-mm.
It's not a random stranger. It's somebody that you're in a relationship with. And for me personally, it was my ex-husband. And he would always tell me, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. This is never going to happen again. And of course, it happened. And it took 7 times,
Mm.
probably 7 times before I actually left. And it was very violent, very, very violent. And then you also have the emotional abuse too behind that. And a lot of times that's not recognized because, oh, words, it's just words. But words are really big. Words can really mess your head up to where you think you're
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yep.
So that is a big passion of mine, is helping women get out of those situations. I obviously had to get out on my own. It took a lot of time. I have the experience of staying at the women's shelter, actually a couple of them. So I can take that experience and help women hopefully expedite what they're going through to get to the better place.
And do you work with a local, like one of the, I'm on the board of the Women's Executive Club here in Fort Lauderdale,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the charities that we support is Women in Distress.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thoughts are, do you partner with someone like that? Is that where you find some of your clients, or how does that work?
Actually, I did my 40-hour core advocacy training a couple of years ago for Safe Place, and I still haven't done anything because right after I did it, we had COVID. And then
Mm.
everything changed where people weren't coming in and they were doing stuff online. And I'm in Bastrop at this point, but it is in the near future where I'm planning on putting together some different programs. I'm also looking at creating a program for foster kids because we have a lot of kids that are actually aging out of the system and don't have any resources. So I think that that's something that I want to focus on as well, just because for me, like I said, I had a lot of childhood stuff. And through the core advocacy training, it actually introduced me to something called the ACE study. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't think so. Tell me.
So basically, it's a study on childhood trauma. And the big aha moment takeaway for me was children that have trauma are more susceptible to trauma as an adult. And that
Mm.
was kind of, in a way, very comforting because it made me feel like, oh, I'm not crazy. Like, how did I go through all this crap? Like, like I had so much stuff. What's wrong with me? So it did give me kind of a peace of mind that, hey, there's some study out there. I'm not crazy.
Yep.
And then it was easier to start working through things.
It's interesting how much things are attached, I guess, is what I'm trying back to our childhood. So back in December, a friend of mine said, "Hey, jump into my group coaching program tonight. It's free and blah, blah, blah." And I had attended one other time. So I show up and I don't know anybody and not my friend. It's her group, but she had the coach that was there. Now, this coach kind of scared me, right? She had these rings in her lip and she had these like devil tattoos, right? I mean, it was like make you nervous. And she was bold. And so she starts off her coaching session by saying, "This is the last time I'm coming to this group. Nobody here engages. I don't show up to hear myself talk, yada, yada, yada." Right. So let's engage. Well, I did. Normally I'm the first one to speak up, but I thought, oh man, she scares me. I'm new to this group. I didn't speak up. So she picked on, no, she didn't pick on, but she chose a lady that was already a current client of hers and they talked. And then she chose a gentleman who was a past client of hers. And then she looked straight at me. She goes, so what's coming up for you, Carol Boston? Right. And so I start talking and I noticed in the chat that the lady who's running the group goes, "Oh my God, thank you for your transparency." Right. And so what was interesting was this coach looked at me and she said, "You don't need a coach. You need a healer. Your issue is safety." And it goes back to childhood. I'm sitting there thinking, what? When I got off the call, as I'm thinking and processing it with a friend of mine, I said, my mother always thought the world was an unsafe place.
Yeah.
She didn't like to travel. She had one path to the grocery store, one to church, and one to the hairdresser, and one to her bridge game with the girls. That was it. Like, don't get her, don't ask her to go across town by herself to find something or do something. So now you're talking about, releasing trauma and stuff from childhood. It really just makes me start to think.
Oh my gosh. So since you mentioned that, it's kind of funny, but when I was doing a session one time, the big thing that came up for me was my mom didn't buy me a pair of Guess jeans when I was 13. How silly, right? As an adult, how silly. But as a child, there were all kinds of things that came out of that. I'm not worthy because she won't buy me these pants. I can't fit in with all these other people. They're not going to like me. Like so many stories wrapped around something so simple as my mom's not going to buy me a pair of Guess jeans. But
right, the stories we create, right?
Yeah.
We create them. We're not even necessarily at that age. We're not necessarily aware that we create them, right? And you just triggered something in my head when you said, I'm not going to fit in. I was listening to TD Jakes. I don't know if you know who he is on TikTok. He has a huge ministry, and they have clips, not whole sermons. They have clips. And the one I listened to it 2 or 3 times because it was really powerful. He said, God said he didn't create you to fit in. He set you apart. He made you different for a reason. And it was really, really quite interesting how we always want to fit in, and yet we can be called to be something completely different so that we can have an impact.
Absolutely.
Well, we're coming up. I hate to say this. We're coming up on the end of our half hour. This has been amazing. Well, may just have to have you back, or maybe I'll have you over on my show on my Facebook page.
Perfect.
And, I guarantee you will have questions there and engagement there. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, how they can work with you.
So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. You have everything right there. So yeah. And yeah, just send me a direct message or go through the Stan store, the link on my Instagram page, and that'll actually connect to make a call.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm not fluent in Instagram, so I would DM you on Facebook. But anyway.
That's good.
Listen, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here, and it's been very enlightening. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. If you're watching this on #replay, reach out. Everybody's got some trauma and some stuff to work through somewhere, right? Sometimes we don't even know that it's there. One of the things I've been told that I'm really good at is uncovering the unseen and the unknown. I had one guy come up to, he's in a networking group that I'm in, and he goes, I don't want to hire you. It scares me. True story, right? He's afraid of what might come up when we do the work, but we get to do the work, right? It's a privilege to do the work.
Yes, it is.
And what's that saying? There's purpose in the pain. And
there is absolutely purpose in the
pain. Look at all the blessings you're creating now.
Yeah.
for other people. So thank you very much. This has been the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where we say a lot of things, but this is the place to be on Wednesdays at 3. We have great guests. Sometimes we're funny and entertaining. Sometimes we're serious, but we always, always, always are supportive, inspirational, and educational. My name is Carol Boston. I love running this show. Thank you again to our guest, Alexander. Reach out to her and come back next Wednesday. I don't know who the guest is going to be. It's always a surprise. Come join me. Until then, blessings to each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.